What's up, guys? We're back again to break down the 5 best players' decks that they use to solidify their spot at the top of the leaderboard. On the last day of the season, each one of these players tried their absolute hardest, brought out their best deck, and did not mess around. So when they're playing to win, these are the decks that they use. They grinded the entire month just for this one day to use their favorite deck. So let's go jump right into the action, break down the best 5 players' favorite 5 decks, and see why they like them so much. Thanks to everyone that's using creator code SirTag, making high-effort videos like this one possible. Hater used this high-skill Mortar deck to finish number 5 in the world. So the best Mortar player in Clash Royale used this deck the entire season. There had to be a reason, so let's find out. I'm gonna Fire Spirit at the start. You guys already know if your opponent doesn't have a card that it costs 1 elixir, you're always gonna get a good trade with that. Whether you're baiting out more elixir from your opponent or getting 300 damage like we got. Dropping it as the first card, maybe they're just like chilling, maybe they're relaxing, maybe they need their coffee in the morning like this guy, and then they just aren't ready for a Fire Spirit to be spammed like a maniac at the river.
What the rock is cooking.
Okay, so he's gonna go for a golem. I think it's important for me to keep the Archer Queen alive a little bit longer, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go invisible here, and then the miner is gonna take the targeting. Like a true golem player, it looks like he's just not defending anything. I think I want to go in for a mortar, and then if I'm able to stop the Night Witch bats, we are able to defend this and win. So that's all I have to do. I'm gonna Fire Spirit here, follow up with a Valkyrie, and look at that. I clean up the bats, the mortar's gonna be able to target the Night Witch, and I should be able to fireball on everything on defense. So I'm gonna clean up the rest of this stuff with the juicy fireball, and I'm fine. Oh, maybe I said I was fine a little bit too soon. Maybe I said I was fine a little bit too soon. Oh my gosh, please stop it. Please stop it, bro. I have a family and I don't have a tower anymore. Oh my gosh. That log was clutch. So one thing that I could have done differently, drop the skeletons up a little bit higher so when he zaps, then the E-barbs are going to get pulled back, so then I could have afforded the miner and I could have dropped the miner closer to my tower. A huge misplay on my end with the miner placement, but it is what it is. Maybe we'll be able to pull this one out and show you guys that it's all good on defense if you are able to play it correctly. And I think that's going to be very reasonable for me to do. So I'm going to mortar here, and then I'll cycle a Valkyrie in the back. And then, ooh, do I want a Valkyrie in the back? I just want to damage everything down quick, because I can finish off those bats very fast and then know that the mortar is going to take the targeting on top of the Night Witch. I got to go skeletons. Maybe go in for a Fire Spirit again, or yeah, I think Miner is the right play. I don't know if the Valkyrie's gonna pull. Oh, the Valkyrie did pull.
Why are we still here?
See, if I knew I was just a little bit better, that would have been such an easy defense without spending more elixir than I needed to. I tucked my Archer Queen in the corner, so then when he tried to go in for a spell, he wouldn't be able to hit everything, so that's very important to do. Now I'm giving him maximum spell value, but it doesn't look like he's got a spell in his deck since he's gonna have the Elite Barbarians version with Night Witch and Lumberjack. And he just is prone to not defending anything. This guy is a wild child. So with 30 seconds remaining, we're going to damage down that golem as quickly as I can so I can cycle another mortar here. And as you guys have saw, the mortar is just so good on defense. It's able to splash onto all of your opponent's units that they just are like, wait, that was supposed to lock onto the tower. That was supposed to do ridiculous, absurd value. And it's not working. So I'm going to miner on defense just to play safe, and then I can cycle a Valkyrie immediately after. I'm not going to go invisible because I don't want my tower to go invisible, because his units would start to target that instead, and we walk away with a pretty easy win. The start got a bit dicey when he got those Elite Barbarians on my tower, but it would have been so much easier if I just went for high skeletons and then a miner a bit closer to the Elite Barbarians. As you guys can see, it's a super high skill deck, and if you make a mistake, you'll get punished just like I did. But at the same time, the Archer Queens, Valkyries, and Mortars are some of the best defensive cards in the entire game. If you don't have Archer Queen, you can always use Musketeer instead. The entire season leading up to the end, AlfQQ was #1 in the world using this Goblin Drill deck. Tons of pro players hate him for playing this, so let's check it out and see why it's so strong. The AlfQQ deck is so strong. I think this is my best deck out of all the decks that I showcased today. I've pushed to top 1,000 in the world with it, and it doesn't have any champions, so anyone can play it. There aren't any substitutions that you guys have to make, but if you prefer Fireball over Rocket, you can run that instead. So this guy's gonna have Mighty Miner. Not super scary for me. I've got a lot of distractions up in here, and as you guys can see, I'm gonna be playing very aggressively with the deck. Because if we're playing against someone that has a beatdown deck, I want to be able to defend all of their annoying cards, which is Skeletons and Fire Spirit, while I'm getting positive elixir trades so I can keep up my offense. If I am getting you to drop cards like a Mighty Miner and a Fisherman that are getting countered for 1 and 2 elixir cost cards, I don't think you're going to be very happy about that. because then I have more elixir to throw more goblin drills at you, and then the cycle keeps repeating. So in single elixir, this deck that we're playing right now is one of the best decks to consistently bombard opponents and get them in horrible card cycles. So it looks like I'm playing against a Royal Giant deck, if I had to guess. We saw Fisherman, we see Hunter, so maybe it's something different, but that's what I was expecting. And because we've got Inferno Tower, super easy shutdown, baby. Maybe it's not as easy as we were hoping for, because I did miss the skeletons. It is what it is. I ended up getting bopped by the Hunter for 400 or 500 damage there because I missed the skeleton surround on top of it. I don't think the Hunter is the easiest card to surround when there's a Royal Giant on the other side, so there's kind of just a limited amount of space. Okay, I'm going to go for a Goblin Drill here because I know that I'll still be able to afford the Fire Spirit, and maybe he'll make a prediction like he does. So it's just better to play safe rather than sorry. And at the same time, apply aggression when everyone's at a low elixir count. So even though I took a lot of damage originally from that Royal Giant and Hunter push, I'm getting more damage in the process because Goblin Drill is one of the most difficult cards to defend in the game. Also, I can go in for Bomber plus Goblin Drill, and then the Bomber will splash onto whatever they defend the Goblin Drill with. If you Royal Giants in the back, I'm just going to rocket it. That's generally what you want to do in double elixir because you're able to defend and you get chip damage with the rocket every time. But yeah, he's going to give it to us. That's a free rocket. Thank you. I appreciate you donating that amount of damage to me for no reason whatsoever. You might try to cycle 2 of them on me or something, but that's not that scary. I can Fire Spirit, kill the rest of his stuff. If he goes in for an Electro Spirit, that's not that big of a deal. I can go in for Skeletons to stop the Mighty Miner again, hopefully. Or I guess the Royal Giant just dies to the Bomber, and I cycle back to another Inferno Tower. Wow, he didn't even get a hit. He didn't get anything from that. And the Inferno Tower is still alive, so now he can't go for a Royal Giant at the river. That's absurd. This is hilarious. He can't cycle them in the back unless he cycles them in the other side, so we'll see what he decides to do. If I Bomber off to the side and he Royal Giants again, I think I just rocket this because the Inferno Tower might be able to put in enough work with a Skeletons on top of the Mighty Miner. He's going to get 1 RG hit, but that's not that much damage. Wait, this is so clean because I can Fire Spirit on top of the bats. The Bomber might even be able to stay alive and splash onto the Hunter. Come on, I believe in you. I know you can. Okay, we're forcing out a log because he's annoyed by me now. I don't blame him. I'd be annoyed by me too at this point. I'm going to Skeletons. I'm going to get that Bandit up close and personal. I'm going to go for a Goblin Drill in a different spot. So when he goes in for a Fisherman, maybe he's going to be prioritizing the units in front instead of the units in the back. Even if you go in for Bats and you go for Mighty Miner and Electro Spirit, you're still taking hundreds of damage. Isn't that dumb that I'm able to get that much value? And then the Inferno Tower should be able to clean the rest of his stuff up. So I'm going to go other side. I'm going to go for this. And notice how far the Royal Giant has to walk to be able to make that happen. It's crazy that the Royal Giant had to walk deep into my territory. And then the Fisherman's just pulling Skeletons because we countered the Mighty Miner with that. So I'm going to rocket since I'm up so much elixir. I know that he's going to lose the Hunter and I won't have to respond to that anymore. In fact, he's going to go for Bats and RG immediately, but he can't break through this. We're just going to continuously go in for Inferno Towers. It locks under your Royal Giant, and then everything here dies. We haven't seen anything scary, so I'm just going to go in for a Bandit, and then a Bomber, and then splash onto his stuff, and then go in for I think I have to log on top of the Mighty Miner, or Fire Spirit, I think. I'm going to Fire Spirit instead, and then rocket and win the game. So that should be enough. GG, well played, and peace out, buddy.
To infinity and beyond!
Pleasure playing against you. And obviously, I know that my deck is a little bit toxic. I know that Rocket Cycle is not something that anyone wants to experience. That's what has to happen. Even if the game looks a little bit close for you guys at the end, he had to cycle multiple fireballs there, and all I had to drop was 1 rocket. Around 800 to 1,000 damage, if you go in for a rocket Goblin Drill with a log, if your opponent doesn't have a Valkyrie plus a Dark Prince, they're probably going to lose the game. Remy finished number 3 in the world with one of my all-time favorite decks in the game, Miner Wallbreaker's Magic Archer. It's incredibly difficult to master, but when you do, you can beat the best players in the world consistently. So let's go jump right into the action and see if we can assert dominance. So Remy's deck is one of the most skillful decks in the game as well. I am seeing a common theme here. All the pro players just want to show off and show everyone why they're so much better than you. Hey, this guy's gonna go home in the bag. Also, another reason that everyone's running a fast cycle deck in the meta is if they play against an Electro Giant or a less skillful deck, then they want to be able to cycle to multiple buildings. Or if they get a bad hand like this, I have my Bomb Tower, seems like my last card. So am I able to defend with a Bomb Tower as last card? I think I am. I'm going to go for a Tornado, and then I'll be able to cycle a Bomb Tower. And notice how I space this out. He's not able to hit everything with the Electro. And then at the same time, I activated King Tower, so I'll be able to have a much better defense here. I'm pretty happy with how that worked out. If you activate King Tower early on against a Golem deck and you're running a Cycle deck, or you're running against Electro Giant and you activate King Tower early on, the next successive defenses will be significantly easier for you. We can wall breakers here. It's going to push the Valkyrie. So I don't know if you guys have ever done this before, but the Valkyrie gets pushed closer to the tower because the wall breakers are like, we got places to be. We got places to go. And that tower, it's going to go down. So we forced out a lot of elixir from our opponent with the tornado there too. And we're trying to keep his elixir low. So because he doesn't have tornado, I can drop my miner in the back and know, hey, that's not going to be a problem. You're not going to be able to activate King Tower for a while. I could hypothetically Magic Archer on top of the Golem, but since he's building up a big push, and I am down a bit of elixir after I casted that miner on the tower, it's going to be in my best interest to go in for a bomb tower here. So another thing against beatdown decks is if you are in a bad card cycle, you can use Tornado against a lot of annoying ones, and you'll be fine. The other thing that I like about this is if you get a bad card cycle like you saw earlier, you can use Tornado on top of the Golem or the Electro Giant, and then still get back to the card cycle that you need to defend. Notice how we drop our Magic Archer really far back because I just don't want to allow the Electro Dragon to be able to hit us. But yeah, Electro Giant is super easy with this deck since I have Tornado and I also end up having Bomb Tower. Okay, so I think it's in my best interest to go in for a miner. Guys, this time the miner is actually going to provide some miracles out here. He wasn't able to stop both Elite Barbarians the first time, but now he's learned his lesson. He's like an AI. He's always improving. He's going to Tornado and drop Skeleton Dragons. That's a horrible elixir investment of 7 for him to counter that. That's hilarious. I can Magic Archer here because I'm up so much elixir, and I think I can cycle back to Wall Breakers. Maybe I Fireball on top of this. I think I Fireball. Maybe he'll drop something on top of the miner as well. If not, worst case scenario, I get a good trade, and then I keep the Magic Archer alive with the Valkyrie. Yes, let's go! Come on, Magic Archer, just stay alive. I said you would stay alive, and you disappoint me. Okay, I wonder if the Wall Breakers are going to force out another Tornado, or if he doesn't have elixir, that'd be even better. Okay, he barely has enough elixir. But he's super dry, so I'm going to go in for a miner. I'm going to follow up with Spear Goblins and then go in for more aggression, because if I keep my Magic Archer alive, I can use my Tornado and then just make him miserable. So that's what we're going for right now. Alternatively, I can go for a Valkyrie and push that with the Wall Breakers and then maybe even win that way. There's a lot of different things at my disposal. Remember, having Fireball allows me to stop anything from clumping up at the river and, you know, providing serious value for him. So follow up with that. I'm going to wait for that to lock onto my tower, and then I'm going to go for Spear Goblins because the Electro Dragon would be able to one-tap the Spear Goblins, but now they're not able to. Ooh, that was really well played. Credit where credit is due. I didn't expect you to play that well. I thought that you would mess up, but you're messing me up in the end. So no Tornado and Cycle. I think I can go in for Magic Archer and then maybe Tornado this back. And then Spear Goblins here. So this game is coming down to the wire a bit more than I would want, just because, you know, this deck does require a lot of skill on my end. Did mess up, but since I had King Tower activated, it's just a super easy win at the very end. So I'm going to Magic Archer and collect my free W.
What mysteries lie beyond the reach of your senses?
Oh, never mind. All right, I'll just blow your house down with the Tornado. So as you guys can see, if you don't hit your placements correctly and you have a lot of tower to work with, you're just going to be fine. But if I needed to win with that Magic Archer at the end, I could have actually lost. This deck is not easy to play, but if you play it well enough, you can hit number 3 in the world just like Remy. If you play this deck at mid-ladder, you're going to have amazing defensive options with the splash damage of the Bomb Tower, Tornado, and the Valkyrie. So it's a great deck to crush over-leveled players. The thing is, you just have to play this deck a lot so you know all the Magic Archer interactions and you don't mess up on any of your placements. If you do, it's one of the best decks in the game. For the last year, Giant Graveyard has always dominated the competition in the top 5 in the world every single season. And Rudy's easy Giant Graveyard deck helped him finish number 2 in the world. So jumping into this one, we went from full skill with no champions to the most no skill strategy in the game with an Archer Queen. Seriously, there's nothing more different than an Archer Queen deck with a Giant Graveyard and then a Magic Archer where you have to refine your placements, go in for your miners and wall breakers at the right points, know your placements of your buildings and tornadoes. Yeah, all that kind of goes out the window, and all you have to do with this deck is know when to counter push and know when your opponent makes a mistake, you capitalize on it and take their tower. So like for instance right now, this guy just went in for a Fireball, he spent a lot of elixir. I'm able to go in for a Skeleton Army here, and then if you go in for a Zap on that, the Skeleton Army is just going to shred your mini P.E.K.K.A. He's down a lot of elixir after that, so I can Graveyard, and I can cordially get those Skeletons, giving them a warm greeting on the tower whenever I want. I love the fact that he has to Fireball right now because he has no other way of removing the Skeletons from the graveyard that had stockpiled, so he just freaked out and did that. And since we're up a lot of elixir, I can justifiably go for an Archer Queen in the back and then defend the other side with minions if he goes in for a Hog Rider. You guys are noticing that this deck, you don't just giant graveyard at the river that often. Most of the time, you're building up an elixir advantage by cycling stuff in the back, then giant graveyarding or punishing opponents when they're down elixir. So notice that I'm dropping my Archer Queen, and then he took forever to cycle his, so I was up a lot. He also doesn't have Fireball, so I can go for minions with my Archer Queen. As long as he doesn't have Royal Delivery here, we're okay. But we saw Fireball, so I don't think he does. Also, Mini P.E.K.K.A doesn't one-tap my Archer Queen, so I felt very comfortable just waiting a little bit. And that's good. Looks like the minions are able to get a couple hits. So Cannon doesn't counter push. His Archer Queen died, same with his Mini P.E.K.K.A. The best thing about Archer Queen is it wins bridge battles, and it doesn't allow your opponent to counter push. So I'm expecting him to go in for a zap here if I went in. So I'm just going to go for a giant snowball and push back the Hog Rider right as it's about to get a hit. Maybe we're able to stop most of the damage here. And I'm going to graveyard immediately after since we've got the Dark Prince counter pushing. So it's worthwhile for us to take advantage of that. If I arrows, I'm not going to get that much value. I'm not going to be able to break through the cannon. I know that I'm going to get profound value already with the graveyard. So why would I, risk it and cycle more stuff than I should be? When a minion's in front, instead of dropping a skeleton army, because remember, he's just going to zap since he has zap in the deck. Most of the time, they don't have zap in their decks. Oh, wait, I thought the Hog Rider got pushed. I thought the giant pushed the Hog Rider off. It looked like the Hog Rider was detached from the tower, but I guess not. All right, I'm going to graveyard here. He's going to Mini P.E.K.K.A, and it should die to the Archer Queen again, so I'm just going to wait for him to do that. And now I'm going to do it. Click the invisibility. And now his tower is going to go vanish as well. You'll love to see it. This deck is really, really broken when you get an elixir advantage, as you guys can see. It's almost impossible to deny all damage from a giant graveyard. And even if your opponent's going to have zap for your skeleton army, you don't necessarily need to drop your skeleton army. You can drop minions, you can drop Dark Princes. As paired with a snowball, you can fully shut down a Hog Rider if you drop your snowball and your Dark Prince early enough. I didn't originally, but I was so close. And that was an incredibly easy win. What more could you expect from one of the most no-skill strategies in Clash Royale? If you don't have Archer Queen, you can always run Witch or Musketeer instead. Personally, I prefer Musketeer for higher damage per second. But there's a ton of people at top ladder that also run Witch. Anaban created the most toxic deck in Clash Royale that I've ever seen, and finished #1 in the world with it. Mirror Electro Giant Golden Knight. If I could ban one deck in Clash Royale, this would definitely be it. I just never want to play against it, and I feel bad for anyone that has to. So let's go jump right into the action and take our toxicity to a whole different level. Literally because Mirror is broken. Anaban clutched up a #1 finish with one of the most annoying strategies in Clash Royale's history. Mirrored up Electro Giant, but it gets even better. We've got Earthquake and Ram Rider. Ram Rider to bait out buildings again. Oh wait, we're baiting out the building with the Golden Knight. Are you kidding me? Can I just go and click the ability and get that onto the tower before you get the bar barrel down? Yeah, that's dumb. That's stupid. And he doesn't even know what we have. He can't tornado this. In fact, he's going to lose his bats to the Ram Rider. Oh my goodness. He fireballs and whiffs. He's mentally devastated by this deck. He's already saying good game, but we're going to put him to utter shame. That's how this works. When you get a Golden Knight onto the tower, at least for me, I already want to just like go to the next game when that happens. I'm just like, I hate that thing more than anything Clash Royale. So I empathize with this guy. I feel him. I understand. I wish I had Tornado so I could pull that in, but it's still fine because we can go Golden Knight here. King Tower activated will give us a very good benefit into that. And I might be able to Electro Giant because I haven't seen anything besides Tombstone, and the Tombstone just dies. Oh, I can mirror up Electro Giant too. Wait, it's the Princess just going to die and he's not going to get the building down? This is pure pain for opponents, and I'm sure you guys have been there too. Sometimes you just miss a building, and then the Electro Giant locks out of the tower, and you just lose the game. That's all it takes. It's a really dumb card, because there's no way of getting that off tower. There's no way of killing it without your own units dying. Really scary. So I'm going to stack up a Ram Rider with an Electro Giant, and I think this guy's already left, but it shows you guys the true power of this deck. It tilts people to a different dimension. It's especially hilarious when you can bait out your opponent's building with the Ram Rider and then mirror Electro Giant like nobody's business and be like, hey, what do you have for me now? Units that I can tornado into it and just get reflected down to nothing? Yeah, that's probably what's going to happen. Or you can tornado your opponent's units closer to the tower and have the Golden Knight splash onto the tower to finish off the game. Or you could just mirror Earthquake Log Cycle to finish it off when you've already done damage. It's no surprise that Anaban was able to get a #1 finish using this strategy. Like, subscribe for more daily content, and have an amazing rest of your day.